Well, hello, and I want to say thank you so much for joining this HSPT prep course. My name is Mr. Chris Muir, and so I'm very much looking forward to working with you. I hope you're watching this parent and child together because there are issues in both, and I think it's best as a shared viewing. I want to talk about three main things that you'll see. One is you'll be receiving soon in the mail or lovingly hand-delivered a materials package. And then we're going to talk about some workshop expectations. And then number three, the practice. So let's get into the materials package. You will be soon receiving in a brown envelope these three items. And obviously these items you could recognize as this is a newspaper. This is what we will use for vocabulary acquisition. These are pencils. And you should be receiving two sharpened, number 2, Ticonderoga, the world's best pencil. And then obviously the most important is our folder. And so hopefully you receive these. I'll be sending an email about this, but if you don't have them by Sunday, please let me know. Okay. Pencils, let's talk about them. You're getting 2 of them. Use them. The only time you wouldn't use your pencils is for correcting. So every work you do should be used in pencil. When correcting, use a non-black pen so it kind of shows up in bounces, if you will. So please use pencils no matter what HSPT work you're working on. Clearly in the math, clearly in the language arts, always, always, always pencil. The newspaper is used for vocabulary acquisition. I do understand that today's news cycle is not always pretty and not always necessarily appropriate. So parents, hi, this is up to you. I don't think there's a better source out there for increasing a student's vocabulary. However, the newspaper I send or any other newspapers, I read the Times. Feel free to look at it and make sure these are appropriate articles for them to be read. I will be discussing how to go about gaining vocabulary through these in our workshop, but that is why you're receiving a newspaper, and I do encourage this probably more than anything else. I don't think there's another way. Let's talk about the folder. So once you open up the folder, you'll see 3 things. In the top middle there, this is what will be on the left side there, your practice sheets. Please do not begin. So do not start. I would like the opportunity for me to explain things before you actually practice them. So do not start those, okay? And then you'll have this thing, and then if you flipped past that, this is in the class, you'd have this thing. These are the guides, and you are absolutely free to peruse those. So you may look through those. Don't worry about it. I know when I get something new, I always want to look at it too. So if you want to look at anything, you can look at the guides. And then the last is you'll see this thing, which will be on the right side, the right folder pocket. Do not touch, right? Don't touch that. We are going to be taking an assessment. Do not investigate this until our first Zoom session, and I will direct you to do so at that time. Let's get past the materials. And again, please reach out to me if you have not received this by Sunday. Let's talk about our workshop expectations. First is please be on time. We do have a lot to cover. And if we're having to wait for people, then it's just not good. Or if you're coming in late and you need to be caught up, it's just not good. So please be on time for our sessions. Secondly is have your folder always with you. We will be investigating the contents of that folder during the workshop process. It is crucial that you always have it. In addition to the folder, I suggest that you take a Sharpie, and on the front there, I put HSPT. And also put your name, because this will be carrying on into our school year. You may be carrying it around, and it'll look a lot like another person's, or maybe a classmate's who also has this HSPT workshop. So, HSPT on the front, put your name on it so we know whose it is. And then lastly, it is called a workshop for a reason, and not to be necessarily blunt, but please be serious about this. You likely have all had experience with Zoom and class-wide Zooms. Look, 20 people in a room, it's difficult enough. If you're not serious about this, well, you're not going to get anything out of it. So I'm going to need you to approach this in a very serious manner. And this is mostly for the students, obviously. So we have a lot of work to do. I'm very excited about the opportunity of us starting early and you gaining mastery. That can only be done if you're serious about it. So this last idea is about the practice. And I've never started with groups this early. So I think that what an amazing opportunity we have. I mean, my goal for each of you is 99th percentile, and a slow and steady practice is going to make this happen. Parents, we don't need to bust through all of the worksheets made available to you in just a couple weeks, because they will have no more worksheets. So again, slow and steady, and I will talk about this always on the Zooms. And especially because we're starting so early, I'm going to be creating even more materials. There's already hundreds of worksheets available. I'm going to be creating more materials, but in the fact that we're starting so early, it's absolutely crucial that we don't just blow through things. Here's a couple tips. Never, ever move on to a new worksheet until you've corrected the one you just did. If you're not correcting, as far as I'm concerned, you're not caring. It is in the correction process that we do learn, and so it is absolutely necessary. You are never to move on to another worksheet until you, the student, has corrected it. And again, we'll talk about, well, how do I correct it? All of that will come out in the Zoom. But you're never to move on to another worksheet until you've corrected the one you just did. Secondly is we want to cycle through the different test subsections. So again, something like verbal analogies. You may have 15 worksheets available to you. Well, take your time with those. Don't bust through all of them, because then you'll have nothing left to do. Okay, so we're going to cycle and we're going to talk about all of this. That's why you're not actually, as I wrote back here, you're not actually supposed to start the practice sheets. You're not to touch the guide on the tests on the right, and the only thing you can look at is the guide. I promise you I will be giving you very clear information. But parents, hi, I know what it's like, and you want to get your kid on track and push them. And look, I'm going to push them too, I promise. However, we will do ourselves no service by crushing through this material with still months and months and months before we actually take the test. Allow this to be a slow and steady process, and again, I will guide you through that. So, I'm so glad you watched. Thank you very much. I will get to see you soon. Some of you I'll be meeting for the first time. Some of you be so happy to see you again. Take good care, and thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. See you soon. Bye.